Well, starting things off now, our top story at this hour, President Cyril Ramaphosa will deliver the eulogy at the fallen struggle stalwart Gertrude Shope's funeral that is happening today. So let's cross down our reporter Natasha Phiri, who is in Centurion for more, of course, outside of the family home. Natasha, very good morning. Earlier on, we spoke to you. I see that the sun has now risen, perhaps as the great baobab has fallen. Talk to us about the valediction ceremony that's set to take place. Who is going to welcome her body? What are the procedures likely to unfold on that front?
Well, thank you so much, Lizo, to you and to our SABC News viewers. Once again, of course, that ceremony will take place about in the next hour or so. What you can see behind me are just members of the ANC Women's League. Of course, the shuttle services have now arrived that will be transporting the family members to the Wits Great Hall. That's where the service will be taking place. Of course, we still are awaiting a coffin that will be draped, of course, in the ANC flag. And just to speak to us now is the ANC Women's League President, Messi Tolashe. She's joined by the Secretary General of the ANC Women's League, Umam Nokuthula Ngaba. As you know, that Mam Gertrude Shope was the president of the Women's League following its unbanning. Mama, thank you so much for joining us in SABC News. We heard during the week the clarion call that was made for the ANC Women's League to preserve the memory of Uma Shope. As you're bidding farewell to her, how will you actually do this as ANC Women's League?
We are bidding farewell to our former president, our mother. We are committed to make sure that the work that she was doing during her time is being taken forward. Her commitment that she demonstrated in her organization in quite a very younger age, we really want to say to all of us, let's learn from Mama Shope and make sure that we further strengthen her organization and sustain it. Of course, we know for a fact that it's not so easy now because democracy that they brought makes people to be able to choose. However, as the ANC that brought that democracy, that Mashope was really to even put a life for, we are committing to say we will sustain it. We will make sure that we emulate all that she did. We will keep her organization intact. We will work hard to change people's lives where they are. We'll make sure that, as it is the case now, gender-based violence in South Africa is being addressed. We are really made to be very, very weakened by the gender-based violence that is really in a very, very high numbers.
And on that note, I mean, this happens when we saw what just happened to Olerato as well.
Yes, this has happened to one of our own, a member of the National Executive Committee of the Women's League and the mayor. We are really appreciate the fact that she was found unhurt. We are calling to all of us to really look around us all the time. This thing is really here. It is really devastating. We also appreciate the work that is being done by police. We see them, indeed, they are doing their utmost good to make sure that those that are being hijacked, they are being found. We really appreciate the work that they are doing. The Jocelyn case also, we are pleased with the sentencing of the mother of Jocelyn and the perpetrators. We are calling up.
Mama, just to interject there, just for clarity, and this is, an issue that we've been alerted to as the SABC News. So are you saying the Sidibeng Mayor Lerato has been found unharmed? She's alive?
Yes, she has been found unharmed. She is alive. We praise God for that. We also really praise police who did their best to make sure that her and her driver are being found unhurt. We are calling to our men to make sure that they stand up, they stand with us to say no to gender-based violence and femicide. Men must take it upon themselves to protect their children, their women, their sisters, their mothers. It can't be right that women are being made to be targets of everyone else. What kind of a nation are we going to be if we really rape and kill our women? We are saying now, kwanele, gender-based violence must come to a dead stop. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your time. Of course, the leadership here of the ANC Women's League, just on their reflection of Shope, saying that they will be preserving, her legacy, but also mentioning a very important story that we've been alerted to on SABC News, and, Mtolaishe, just confirming to us as SABC News that the CDBeng mayor, Rato, who had actually been kidnapped alongside her protector, has been found unharmed and alive. Of course, more details on this story will follow, and this as we toss to my colleague Samgele Masego on the other side. Sam?
Natasha, it is the funeral service of a struggle stalwart, former trade unionist and revered politician Gertrude Shope. The stage has effectively been set for a dignified send-off for this revered struggle stalwart of South Africa. President Cyril Ramaphosa did declare a Category 1 state funeral for her. Government officials are at this point in time setting up for the arrival of her remains and for the arrival of the various dignitaries. We do expect President Cyril Ramaphosa, he will be leading the government delegation, and he will ultimately deliver the eulogy on behalf of the South African government, noting that Gertrude Shope comes from a revered family of struggle stalwarts. Her late husband was also a former trade unionist, particularly very instrumental in the formation of trade unions within the country. Herself was very instrumental in the formation of these particular trade unions, COSATU, the Congress of African Trade Unions, and representation, particularly within workers in the country in the apartheid era, where there was minimal voice of many South Africans, particularly those whom come from the previously disadvantaged backgrounds, those whom were oppressed by the apartheid regime. Also remember, she was part of those very first few women who were part of the ANC's National Executive Committee, former president of the ANC Women's League as well. But more especially, you'd have to look at her history when it comes to the likes of the late Ben Turok, when it comes to the late Secretary General of the African National Congress, who's just had his remains repatriated from Lusaka in Zambia, brought back into the country. She was part of those first Rivonia trialists, particularly alongside the likes of Ben Turok, Duma Anokwe as well, which speaks about the fortitude that this particular woman had in the liberation struggle when it was not fashionable to do so. She was part of those who took up the mantle to fight for the freedom of her people. But her death comes at a time when South Africa is battling with gender-based violence and femicide, particularly with the scourge of the killing of women, innocent women, if one may put it like that, which is one of the issues that she would have been at the forefront of fighting against, particularly calling on the government to speed up its fight against this particular scourge of GBV, which is one of the issues that her organization, the ANC Women's League, used to fight for and fights for at this point in time. Remember, during the memorial service, the former Secretary General of the ANC Women's League, Nosiviwe Mapisa Ngakula, spoke profoundly of Gertrude Shope, saying that Gertrude Shope was a community activist. She would be found in the various communities, making sure that young girls do not go on their cycles without proper sanitary towels. She would fight for them to get those particular sanitary towels that were effectively, after a while, rolled out in universities and also across the country, which was one of the struggles that was led also by the Young Communist League of South Africa, working alongside the ANC Women's League, which was an initiative that Gertrude Shope was very passionate about, particularly in her eras when she entered into government and was a member of parliament. But of course, I am not alone reflecting on the lives and times of Gertrude Shope, a revered struggle stalwart, particularly who had played a pivotal role when it comes to the trade union movement within the country. Particularly, you'd remember within those years of the 80s, you'd remember going towards the late 80s, that wildcat strike of the National Union of Mine Workers as well. That was the era of Gertrude Shope in the Congress of South African Trade Unions at that particular time.